Imagine standing in front of your entire class, and the moment you open your mouth, everyone bursts out laughing. That's exactly what happened to a quiet seventh grade girl named Sarah. All she said was that her mom worked at NASA, but instead of believing her, her classmates mocked her, humiliated her, and called her a liar. But just when the laughter was at its loudest, the classroom door opened, and the truth walked in. "You're lying!" a boy shouted, his voice dripping with mockery. The entire classroom erupted in laughter. It all began on a chilly Monday morning in Mrs. Peterson's 7th grade science class. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as students shuffled in, still sleepy but buzzing with curiosity when Mrs. Peterson clapped her hands together. "All right, class. Today, I want each of you to share something special about your parents' jobs. Some of your parents may be doctors, some may own shops, some may be teachers. Let's hear it," she said cheerfully, smiling at the eager faces. One by one, the students stood up. "My dad owns a bakery," one boy announced proudly. The class nodded. They all loved the sweet smell of fresh bread when passing his shop. "My mom's a nurse," another girl chimed in, her voice filled with pride. "My uncle works at the auto shop," a boy in the back said, already fiddling with his pencil like a wrench. Each answer brought nods, giggles, and little bursts of applause. It was lighthearted and fun until it was Sarah's turn. Sarah was a quiet, skinny girl who usually kept to herself. She always sat near the window, sketching planets in her notebook when she thought no one was watching. Her clothes were simple, her hair tied in a messy ponytail. Many classmates barely noticed her existence, but today all eyes turned to her. "My mom," Sarah began, her voice trembling slightly. She swallowed hard, then said, "Oh, works at NASA." The room froze for half a second. Then came the explosion of laughter. "NASA?" one boy sneered. "Yeah, right, and my dad's Iron Man." "Please, Sarah," a girl mocked. "Your mom probably works at a store or cleans houses. Why would someone from NASA live here in this town?" Another boy added with a smirk. The laughter grew louder, bouncing off the classroom walls like a cruel echo. Sarah's cheeks flushed bright red. She gripped the edge of her desk, wishing she could disappear. But she didn't argue back. She just lowered her head, eyes fixed on the floor, trying to shrink into her chair as the whispers continued. Mrs. Peterson cleared her throat sharply, her face stern. "That's enough. We don't mock each other's families here." The giggles slowly faded, but the damage was done. Sarah sat in silence, her heart heavy. Even Mrs. Peterson, though she defended Sarah, couldn't help but wonder, was the girl telling the truth? Because in this small, ordinary town, the idea of someone working for NASA sounded almost impossible. The rumors didn't stop. At lunch, kids whispered and pointed, their voices dripping with sarcasm. Some even mimicked Sarah's soft tone, saying, "My mom's a rocket scientist," in high-pitched voices before bursting into cruel laughter. It seemed like no matter where she went, in the hallway, in the cafeteria, even at recess, there were always whispers behind her back. By Friday, Sarah dreaded coming to school. Her stomach twisted with anxiety each morning, and she avoided eye contact with anyone. But what she didn't know was that everything was about to change in a way none of her classmates could have imagined. That morning, Mrs. Peterson walked into class with an unusual sparkle in her eyes. She clapped her hands together and announced, "Class, today we have a very special guest joining us. She's here to talk about space, science, and the importance of chasing your dreams." The classroom instantly came alive with excitement. Guest speakers usually meant no pop quizzes, no boring worksheets, and sometimes even a chance to leave class early. Students leaned forward, whispering eagerly to each other. Then the door creaked open. A tall woman stepped inside, her posture straight and confident. She wore a navy blue blazer, and pinned to it was a shiny NASA badge that caught the light and seemed to glow. The room went dead silent. She carried herself with calm authority. Her steps purposeful, her expression warm yet commanding. Her eyes sparkled with intelligence, and the air in the room seemed to shift the moment she entered. "Good morning, everyone," the woman said with a kind smile. "My name is Dr. Rebecca Johnson. I'm an aerospace engineer at NASA." The class gasped collectively. "NASA? For real?" Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She knew that voice. She knew that face. Her mom was standing right there in front of the class. The same kids who mocked her just days before sat frozen, mouths hanging open, as if their brains couldn't process what they were seeing. Even Mrs. Peterson nearly dropped her clipboard. "Well, welcome, Dr. Johnson. We're truly honored to have you here." Dr. Johnson began her presentation, and the classroom transformed. She spoke passionately about rockets, satellites, and working on missions to Mars. She described the challenges of designing technology astronauts depend on in space, showing real photographs of spacecraft and the International Space Station. Not a single student whispered. Not a single student laughed. Instead, every pair of eyes stayed glued to her, soaking up every word. Finally, one brave boy raised his hand timidly. You're Sarah's mom?" Dr. Johnson's smile softened. "Yes, I am. And I couldn't be prouder of my daughter." All eyes turned to Sarah, but this time she wasn't shrinking in her chair. She sat tall, her chin lifted, and for the first time all week, a confident smile spread across her face. By the time the presentation ended, the students had completely changed their tune. Instead of laughing at Sarah, they now bombarded Dr. Johnson with eager questions. Hands shot up all across the room. "What's it like to work at NASA?" one girl asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "Have you ever met an astronaut?" another boy blurted, barely able to stay in his seat. "Do you think we'll really live on Mars one day?" A curious voice chimed from the back. Dr. Johnson answered each question patiently, her voice calm yet filled with passion. She explained the teamwork it took to build spacecraft, the sleepless nights spent testing equipment, and the endless hope behind every mission. "NASA isn't just about rockets," she said, her eyes sweeping across the room. "It's about curiosity, teamwork, and believing in what seems impossible." The students listened with rapt attention, hanging on to every word. The same kids who once mocked Sarah now stared in awe, not just at Dr. Johnson, but at the idea that greatness could come from someone in their very own small town. As the session came to an end, Dr. Johnson stood tall at the front of the class. "Before I leave," she said firmly, "I want you all to remember one thing: never make fun of someone for believing in something bigger. Every great discovery started with a dream. And sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the biggest dream of all." The room fell silent. Her words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning. The same students who had laughed at Sarah now shifted, uncomfortably in their seats, avoiding her eyes, guilt written all over their faces. At recess, the awkward silence continued until finally one of the boys walked up to Sarah. He scratched his head, his voice low and uncertain. "Hey, Sarah. Sorry about earlier. We didn't know." Sarah looked at him, her expression calm. For once, she didn't feel small. She replied softly but firmly, "You didn't have to know. You just had to believe me." And with that, she turned and walked away, her steps steady, her head held high. For the first time, Sarah felt a wave of respect from her classmates. Not because her mom worked at NASA, but because she had stayed strong even when the entire room laughed at her. From that day forward, Sarah wasn't just the quiet girl anymore. She was the girl whose mom reached for the stars and the one who reminded everyone else to dream bigger too. And that day, Sarah proved something powerful, that even when the world doubts you, the truth will always shine through. If this story inspired you, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that will touch your heart and open your mind. Until next time, keep dreaming big.